Don't conquer the peak, conquer yourself. Then you can lead. And leadership is about creation, the creation of a compelling saga that changes the beliefs and the decisions of the people around you. And when those people are given the right tools, the expectations can be exceeded even greater than imagined. Ladies and gentlemen, today I bring you High Altitude Leadership, what the most forbidding peaks teach us about success. I'm excited to bring you this book summary today, mainly because this book really changed my life because it got me back into reading. Now, before I get started, as always, just a reminder, I am going to be bringing you book summaries and book reviews because I want to help you enhance and expand your leadership skills. I believe books are a great way to do that, and this book in particular, High Altitude Leadership, has a lot to offer. So if you're interested in content like this, please follow me on social media. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, let's get into High Altitude Leadership. All right, the first thing I want to share with you is the pace and format of this book. It's a little bit different than most of the books I am going to be presenting to you. I think it's different than most of the leadership, management, business type books that are out there right now. Most of the time when you're reading a book, it's going to give you a little intro, it's going to give you a story, it's going to sum up the story, and then it's going to give you the points, how they relate to whatever the topic is. It's pretty standard. Either way though, you're getting that story start to finish, and if not the complete end, you're getting the overwhelming majority of it. Maybe they come back and they reference that story later in the book. Maybe they give you a little bit more later in the book, but for the most part, you're getting those stories start to finish all at the same time. This book is not like that at all, and it can really throw you off in the beginning, mainly because it's not what we're used to, but as you go, it's fantastic, and it really helps move the book along. It helps drive home the points because it keeps you on the edge of your seat. High Altitude Leadership, you can see it on the cover. It compares business to mountain climbing. And the book starts out with a daring mountain climb of K2, I believe it is, the toughest mountain to climb in the world, second tallest out there. I'm not a mountain climber, but that's what it says in the book. And initially, you're climbing the mountain with these guys, and one of them falls off the side of the mountain and he's gone. He's not there anymore. That is how the book starts, page 1 and page 2. So it's intense right from the get-go. Most of the stories focus around mountain climbing. They do throw a few in about business, but it is intense and it gets you right from the get-go. But after he falls off the cliff, you're onto another topic. So you don't know what happens to the rest of the team. Do they make it to the summit? Do they descend back down? Do they all make it? You don't know. You've got to keep reading to find out. So those stories are broken up, and it really, again, it throws you off in the beginning, but it's the right format for this book, and I really grew to love it. So like I said, the book is intense from the beginning. Page 1, we're climbing K2, highest, or not highest mountain, but toughest mountain to climb in the world. And then on page 2, we lose one of our hikers. But it does transition nicely into the 8 dangers a leader faces, and those 8 dangers are fear of death, selfishness, tools of seduction, arrogance, lone heroism, cowardice, comfort, and gravity. And Chris Weaver and Don Schminke do a fantastic job tying these dangers into your mountain climbing, how they come about and how to conquer those, and same in business, how they come about and how to conquer them there as well. First, there's fear of death. This one's really obvious. If you're on the mountain and you're afraid of dying, you're not going to be thinking about anything else. You're not going to be thinking about working with your team. You're not going to be thinking about getting to the peak, getting to the next base camp, or getting down the mountain. All you're going to be focused on is not dying, and chances are, if that's all you're thinking about, you're going to die. In business, if you're not thinking about how to expand, how to succeed, how to grow your business, if you're simply thinking, how do I not fail, you're going to fail because you're focused on the wrong things. Next up comes selfishness, and this ties in directly to fear of death, because if you're afraid of dying, you're not thinking about anybody else. And if you're selfish, you're not thinking about anybody else. Not necessarily for the same reason, but they still go hand in hand. If you're not willing to work with your team, if you're just out for you, you're just focused on yourself, when you're out there climbing the mountain, you're not going to be able to succeed because it takes a team to get to the peak. In business, you can maybe get by doing a few things on your own, but you're not going to be as successful as you can be if you don't work with your team. If you don't lead your team and you're just in it for yourself, it's never going to be as successful as you could possibly have been. So next comes number 3, tools of seduction. Everybody likes a shiny new toy. It doesn't matter if it's sexy climbing gear. It doesn't matter if it's a sexy new computer. If you don't know how to use it properly, it's not going to help you at all. So you can't get focused on the sexy things out there. Use the tools you're comfortable with. Use the tools that can get the job done, not necessarily the prettiest thing or the best looking thing out there. So let's tie those last two in together with number 4, arrogance. What happens when you don't listen to your team, and what happens when you've got a cool new toy and you think, oh, I've got this cool new toy. My team doesn't know what they're talking about. I know exactly what I'm doing. You get arrogant, and when you're on the mountain, you get arrogant and you don't respect the mountain. You don't care about your teammates. You die. That's basically what ends up happening in all these rules. Spoiler alert. If you're on the mountain and you're not focused on any of these dangers, the end result is you're going to die. Not necessarily the same in business, but it could hamper your business, or in the end, it could cause your business to fail. It could cause your teams you're leading to fail, where otherwise they could have succeeded maybe very easily by simply, focusing and avoiding these dangers. So with arrogance, if you're too arrogant to listen to your team, or if you're too arrogant to think you don't need to worry about using the right tools, you've got this cool tool, then you're going to fail and you're not going to be as successful as you could have been. We're halfway through these dangers. They're very straightforward. They make a lot of sense. They're just presenting them in a way where we're comparing them to mountain climbing, where it's life and death, and then comparing them to business, where it really puts things in perspective of, okay, you know what? I don't have to be as arrogant. Oh, you know what? It's not important for me to get that brand new computer. This is not a life or death situation. And by avoiding these dangers, I can be so much more successful, whether I'm leading my team, leading my business, or whatever it is. Number 5 is probably one of the biggest dangers, even if you can avoid the first 4. Number 5 is lone heroism. And this is something I think all leaders and managers, especially new ones, struggle with. Why? Because it's easier to just do it yourself. It's easier to not hand off and not delegate tasks. It's easier to just do things you know how to do yourself, because you know they're going to get done. You know they're going to get done when you want them done, how you want them done, and they're going to get done the right way, so long as you know what you're doing. But it's very important to be able to delegate and to have team members you can trust in any situation. Up on the mountain, those situations become life and death very quickly. You have to be able to fully 100% trust your teammates with your life, literally. And in business, in leadership roles, you've got to be able to trust your team. If you can't, you're not leading them, you're not managing them, you're just doing their work for them. They're there for a reason, and you're there in that leadership role for a reason. You've got to delegate, you've got to stop trying to be the hero, and you've got to lift everyone up to do the job. Number 5 ties directly into danger number 6, cowardice. Why should you not go at it alone? Because what happens when you freeze up? What happens when the situation becomes dire on the mountain and you either can't make a decision or you're too slow to make a decision? In those situations, it's not necessarily that your team won't make it to the peak. It's generally, again, more extreme, your team may not survive. In business, if you can't make a decision, even if it's not the right decision, if you can't make a decision at all and you delay and you put it off, then when you finally do make a decision, if it's the wrong one and you find out it's the wrong one, it may be too late to pivot and make the right decision. Making a wrong decision isn't the worst thing you can do. Making no decision is. Because even if you make the right decision, but you've delayed yourself, now there's no guarantee that you can catch up to the teams that made the right decision from the get-go, or made the wrong decision, figured it out, and then made the right decision, but they still made a decision before you ever did. Danger number 7, though, very similar to number 6. It's not cowardice, it's comfort. What happens when you sit here and go, my team's been really working hard lately. We're not going to worry about developing. We're not going to worry about trying to hustle and, put out the latest and greatest. We're just going to sit back and we're going to take it easy for a while. They deserve a little bit of a break. No need to push themselves. What happens? Other teams pass you. Other teams make it to the top. You might, if you're on the mountain, you might only make it to one of those base camps and you might never see the peak. And when you're going down, you might not go down fast enough and you might all freeze to death. In business, it's the same thing. If you're not out there constantly pushing and constantly trying to innovate, constantly trying to expand your skills, then other teams, other businesses are going to pass you by and you're not going to be able to keep up. And in the end, this is going to cause you to fail where others have exceeded because you don't have the same drive and the same willpower to push through because you've been pushing long enough and you're just tired, you're comfortable where you are, and there's no need to continue to expand, continue to grow. You're good with what you've got. No, that is a big time danger in leadership. And last, we have the 8th danger a leader faces. It is our final one, and it is the one that you have no control over when it happens to you. You can only prepare, because when it happens, you have to know how to respond. And that danger is gravity. There are constantly forces out there that are either trying to pull you down or push you down or prevent you from rising to the top. In mountain climbing, it's gravity. But in business, it could be your competitors, it could be your coworkers, it could be your industry that you're in, it could be government, it could be any number of factors that are out there that are causing you to have to rise to the occasion, to have to meet those challenges head on. Because if you don't, you will get pulled down and you may fly off the mountain or you may simply not make it to the top. But either way, if you don't know how to respond to those situations, it's not going to be a good thing. If you are prepared though, and if you have prepared your team properly, you can meet those challenges head on. And not only can you not get pulled down and not get pushed down in business or on the mountain, but you can continue to rise and continue to make it to the peak in those dire situations. So how do we get past not one, but all 8 of these dangers? How do we ensure that our teams thrive not only in good times, but in bad times? We create compelling sagas. We create an urgency that the needs of the team are greater than the needs and the goals of the individual. It makes sense on the mountain. You can't climb that mountain by yourself. You need help from your team. The team has to work together. And it makes sense in our everyday culture we live in now. When the needs of the team are met, when the needs of the team are put before our own, not only will we succeed, but our needs will be met individually in the long run. So to everyone out there, I can't recommend this book to you enough. I'm going to have a link to it in the description box down below. But if you are looking to improve your leadership skills, if you are looking to create a compelling saga in your own business, in your own life, or if you are an avid mountain climber. I cannot recommend this book enough. It really changed my life, and it got me back into reading, and I couldn't be happier with the fact I picked it up and read it. My question for everybody out there today is climbing Mount Everest on your bucket list, or have you already done it? And if not, tell me something that's on your bucket list that is your version of, climbing that peak in life. Let me know in the comment section down below. I can't wait to read what you have to say, and I will see y'all next time.